Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're here for another full-time match reaction. I'm your host, Matt, joined by my regular friends, Kev, Chris, and Ashley, to go through Liverpool 2, Wolves 1, as the lead at the top of the table is returned to its rightful 7 points. Kev, how you feeling?
Relieved. First emotion that comes to mind was pure relief watching that. And the worst of it was, with about 15 minutes to go at a mini power cut here. So I lost all power for about 5 to 7 minutes by the time I got it back. That doesn't matter. At the time, Wolves were banging and banging and banging. They'd not long scored. And I said, for fuck's sake, we're going to find a way to balls this up. And by the time the power come back on, the internet come back on, I was like, please, 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 God, don't let my phone flash. Don't let Chris go into a tirade and blaming everything on his son. And luckily, it didn't happen.
That's a very bad characteristic of me, that. I just blame you.
It's a very accurate one. No, look, we saw that. We got the 3 points. But, yeah, pure, total relief. Can't describe it any more than that. Pure relief.
Yeah, it was as nervy as I've been for a second half in a long, long time. I mean, Ashley, it's another one of those bad performance, good results. Like, getting a lot of people in the chat saying, like, that's a big 3 points, because that's, at this point in the season, is all that matters, is just getting it across the line, and just get it across the line we did.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just put in a quote from Robbo, and he was talking about how, the players kind of felt like the second half was a slog. It looked like a slog. It looked awful. That was one of the worst second halves that we've played pretty much all season. But he kind of went on to say, Wednesday took it out of a few of us. Like, the Wednesday game against Everton was really draining. And even though we didn't get a result against Everton, emotionally, I could see it being quite draining for them. It seemed like they had some sort of hangover. It didn't feel like we were watching the team that we know and love this year.
Yeah, it was a very unslot Liverpool second half, because this is a team that we have lauded many, many shows post-match about coming out second half and looking like a completely different team. And that happened again, but in a much, much worse way. But Chris, a question for you. Is it better to have a good final 10 minutes and get a scrappy win against relegation fodder, or better to get a 2-goal lead and just cling on?
Truthfully, it doesn't matter as long as you get the win. It's amazing how that side of the emotions get. Well, listen, look, we all found that second half stressful. I mean, Rob was saying the Everton game took a lot out of him. I can believe that, because I think derbies do. But don't kid yourselves. There was plenty of some of the chats. There was plenty online that were telling us, fucking hell, this Arsenal will chase us down. Look at that. They played shite, but last 10 minutes they found a way and they got the win against the relegation side. Liverpool did it the other way around. Liverpool got themselves into a comfortable lead and played shite second half. And maybe it was on the back of what happened at Everton, they saw it out, because we'll go through the game later, but I think after the goal, I can remember the big Kwanzaa block, and then any other shots they had were pretty routine for Allison, nothing that you would expect him not to take. So it's hard, because when you're in the emotion to get out of the same, thinking that this goal's coming. It feels like it's coming. When you watch, but I think when we watch it back, you realise there weren't actually that many chances. I mean, they get back into it with an outstanding goal, which we will spend some time talking about, because you've got to give credit where it's due. Cunha was probably the best player on the pitch, and I will be amazed if he's at Wolves next year, because Slot was right. They've got a player there that could play for any of the top 5 teams in this league. So listen, pleased with the results. Hopefully, a few days rest now, kick on, and you'll have Jones back as an option as well. So, and hopefully Gakpo. I mean, I suppose that was a bit of a miss as well, not having Gakpo's drive sometimes from wide. I mean, Diaz did well, but look, I'm all right.
Yeah. The loss of Cody Gakpo with a knock is not helpful at this time. I mean, Diogo Jota comes in, he gets his first Premier League start since October, which I did not feel like it was that long since he'd started in the league for us. I mean, Kev, they turn us around, they make us kick into the Kop first half, and I mean, the first half, I thought that we played good to great, and I mean, we get the goal early, and it's not the prettiest goal you'll ever see in the entire world, is it, from Luis Diaz?
No, but it's one that we needed. I mean, I thought we played pretty well first half. Dominated it more or less. Limited them, actually, nothing much. But they were threatening all the time. They always, apparently, they're the third highest scorers on the counter in the league, behind us and Spurs. And you can see why. Their threat on the counter is live, and it is pretty real. Yeah, we needed to get up to a good start, and I thought we did. The first 10 minutes controlled the game pretty well, and I wouldn't say it was only a matter of time, but it was. We had a corner inside the first minute. That one that we took short, went across to Trent, and he took it on his wrong foot. But when the goal came, the best thing about it for Wolves is the fact that it went in. Because that didn't go in, there was at least 2 penalties in there and a potential red card as well. So, it was definitely deserved. It doesn't matter, and it's one of those. Now, doesn't matter how it goes in, you need that one to go in. This is his first goal at Anfield in God knows how long.
Since September.
Exactly, and it's
first
not like
first goal in 10, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. He hasn't had any goal involvement since December. He needed that.
He definitely needed it, but I think it's almost like a curse at the minute when anyone is playing through the middle. The amount of chances that are created by us for central strikers, they don't seem to be there. Even today, I think I had a quick look before we came on. We had 10 efforts today, 3 on target. It was strange. Today was a strange game all round. But overall, in the first half, I was happy. I thought it was a really good professional performance, that we handled it really well, despite the referee throwing around cards, and we'll get to that in a bit. But it was a goal that was needed, and it was almost like everyone took a breath. The fact that they turned us around, I'm amazed more sides don't do that. I
hate when teams do that.
Exactly. And it's little margins, it's little things to piss people off. And I always find it fascinating how sides don't do it more often. It's kind of like in the rule book, Liverpool love playing into the Kop in the second half. The Kop will suck a goal in for you. Turn it around. And the first thing the Carragher said, that'll piss him off.
Stop giving them ideas.
But it's mad. But yeah, we got the goal, got the lead. And my only worry at the time was, right, don't sit back on it now. And we didn't. We just kept going and going and going. We kept probing and trying to find a second. And, it was like buses when one comes, 2 comes along at the same time. But yeah, no, delighted with the 1-0 lead and delighted the way we were playing. I thought we were managing the game really, really well.
Yeah. Ashley, you've thrown up a stat here that says 52 games with a goal and assist for Mo. Did they give Mo the assist for the opening goal?
I haven't.
I don't know.
So far, they've given it to him just based on FPL. I don't know if they're going to give it to him officially.
Oh, because when I first looked after it happened, they hadn't given it to him for FPL. Like after he had scored the penalty, he still only had points for just the goal. He didn't have the assist. So I hope he gets it just to push on that narrative of him being stat padding. But on the goal, the one thing that I really liked from it was a little bit of vintage Diogo Jota in the middle of the field where he shields the ball and sets us off on the attack going down the other way. And that's just absolutely excellent. We get a flurry of yellow cards. It might be a record for the most yellow cards for dissent in a game I've ever seen. It was just, they were complaining and complaining and complaining. And then Ashley, the penalty comes, and it's unfortunate for the Irish defender, Agbadou, that he just kind of miscontrols what was a pretty simple ball coming to him and allows Luis Diaz the opportunity to run in behind in a foot race against Jose Sa coming out. And it's just a penalty. Like, I know some rival fans are going to be complaining that Liverpool gets the rub of the green and we always get these penalties and blah, 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 blah. But I think that's just a stock standard penalty, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, we'll talk about the second penalty, and I think we'll be pretty, unbiased on the second penalty. I think this one was clear. I mean, it's one of those situations, anytime the keeper puts his hands out, you're giving the player a decision to make in terms of, do they go down, basically. I don't think Diaz is diving, but I think, Sa is making that decision. Diaz just obliges and goes down. And I have no problem with that. I mean, I think that was a clear pen. I understand why people are pissed off about it. I'd be pissed off about it too. But I mean, that's given across the league for everybody.
Yeah. I need to make a clarification. I said he was Irish. I just saw the flag when they did the lineups beforehand. That is the Ivory Coast. They have extremely similar flags to Ireland. Extremely similar flags to Ireland. I mean, Chris, obviously it's going to be Mo Salah that steps up and gets to take the penalty. The old left footer taking penalties concerns and never in doubt.
No, I don't really have them with Mo. I know some do, but I mean, he's got something like, is it 43 and 50 pens?
42 and 50 now.
There we go.
80, 9 out of 10 this season.
Yeah, 80+% conversion rate. That's kind of what you want really from a penalty taker. So, no, perfectly fine. I loved how Sky and everyone spent so long talking about Luis Diaz's slight nudge in a defender's back, and they went on and on and on about it. I was like,
does anyone remember Konate? Because I didn't hear any.
I didn't notice. And that was a 2-arm push in midair.
I didn't hear anything about that.
But a slight nudge. Yeah. And listen, look, Sky were doing it all day. Sky were desperate for Liverpool to drop points today because for them it makes a more exciting title race. They want the title race to go down to the last game of the season. They want it to be end to end. They don't want it to be a team winning comfortably. And in the first half, I thought Liverpool in general were pretty comfortable. I thought they managed the game really well. Didn't really give up too many chances and did what they needed to do. I had no problem with Konate coming at half time because we all felt the ref was a bit card happy. But again, Sky were trying to make out Konate should have been sent off, which is more nonsense. But
two players going to the ball. They were both looking at the ball and they just happened to collide. There's fouls that are not yellow cards.
Yeah, they just everyone wants that, don't they? Because then it'd be a great story if Liverpool try and play against 10. Yeah, play with 10.
I'm sure that'll be the narrative for the next couple of days. It'll be like, Connor Bradley was lucky not to get sent off for Everton, and now Ibu and whatever.
I'll just turn around and say, yeah, that's great, good on it. So listen, I was really relaxed, and Liverpool's record when we're ahead at half time is, I don't think we've lost since away at Bournemouth under Klopp's first season. And I think our record when we're 2-0 at half time is almost perfect. So I was fairly relaxed. We didn't go that way because the second half was pretty poor by Liverpool.
Came out.
Yeah, Liverpool forgot how to pass the ball second half completely, and it was ridiculous. But listen, credit to Wolves, they didn't sit back. They decided they were going to have a go. And look, they're in a position in the league where they can't afford to sit back now. They've got to try and get stuff. Kev made a good point before the game started to us in our chat, which is when you looked at that Wolves starting 11, you are wondering why they are where they are, because that's a good side.
Yeah, it's the second half. God, fuck, I don't want to have to talk about this second half.
One thing on the Konate yellow card. All right, he got a booking because of the fouls that 4 or 5 other players committed and didn't get bookings for. He was literally sat there. The referee, after he booked him, said to him, "Look, there was fouls there, and there. It's just unlucky it's you. It could have been anyone."
The one that he chose to give the yellow card
was the softest
was like the softest yellow card I've ever seen. Yeah. It was like maybe a little graze on the waist with his hand.
No, he had his armor. He had his armor around it, but yeah, exactly. It just looked awful. It's like it is nothing. It's just one of those that I think whoever committed the next foul was getting booked. Didn't matter who it was. And the worst thing that can happen to you when you get booked is the ball starts following you around. And for a defender, you're in the eye line of the referee after that. That 50-50 they went up for the air. Look, he mistimed the header. He did catch the man, but like you said, it's contact sport. It's foul, nothing more. But you're giving, the more the ball follows you around as a centre half, you're giving the referee an option or a decision to make, and eventually he'll just book you a second time. And there might be an innocuous one. I think 2 Wolves players, might have been 3, got booked for gobbing off and for asking for cards.
2 of the back 3 were booked.
Yeah.
And the manager.
and the manager was booked. And I'll tell you, in the whole game, there wasn't a bad tackle in it. It was if that game had finished with nobody getting booked, you wouldn't have an argument over it because there wasn't a dirty tackle in the game.
No, no, it wasn't.
It was. I mean, I suppose the only one that sticks in my mind is the one Virgil picked up in the second half because he mistimed that, and we'll chat about that after. But other than that, there wasn't many, and the reason Ibu got the booking was an accumulation of fouls before anyone else. It's just unfortunate it was him. It was the right decision to take him off at halftime because of the games you got coming up. The last thing you need is you've got 3 centre backs, one of them being suspended when you're 2-0 up at halftime and you have an option. You have to take that option. It was the right decision to make.
And to be fair to Kwanzaa, he did well when he came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so too. And I actually thought it was kind of a blessing in disguise because we have a lot of games coming up, and I think Konate could benefit from the rest. I was nervous about Kwanzaa coming in, especially against Cunha, because he is so talented. But I thought he stood up really well to him.
I thought so.
Yeah, that was kind of the conversation we were having at the halftime break because I think it was Chris. You saw that Kwanzaa was going through quite a rigorous warm up, or maybe it would have been Ashley, and it seemed pretty obvious that Kwanzaa was going to come on, and it was like, well, this to me it was a perfect opportunity to bring Jarrell Kwanzaa in. We had a 2-goal lead. We looked like we were kind of cruising. He's there beside Virgil, and he's got the starters around him. He's not out there with a makeshift kind of team. And to rest Ibu as well too, and I'll jump right ahead. I'll give Jarrell Kwanzaa my man of the match at the end of the day because he played like last season's Jarrell Kwanzaa. They make a couple of substitutions. Munetsi comes on for Sarabia, making his Premier League debut. Bellegarde comes on for Gonzalo Guedes. Those two were just absolutely anonymous. I mean, really for Wolves, the only player in the first half that stood out for them was Matheus Cunha, and he's going to stand out because he is
so good.
He's just levels above the rest of their team in terms of
and I think
every
with his
team
goal,
kind of has one player like that.
Yeah, he's up to 12 or 13 league goals now, which is, that's excellent for a team that's flirting way, way, way too much with the relegation zone.
It's something like he's been involved in 10 of their last 15 goals. Yeah. He's so pivotal for them. And he say, "Oh, you should just mark him better or get this," but his movement's so good that he's very good at finding space and knowing what to do with the ball. You do sometimes have to take your hats off to a player who's just very, very good and plays very, very well.
Yeah. So Ashley, it comes out second half. Mo turns the ball over badly. McAllister puts in a good block on Cunha, and Allison collects the ball. And then the biggest moment of the second half, you pointed it out here. Allison Becker doing that thing that we absolutely adore Allison Becker for, besides looking stunningly handsome. It's a one-on-one Munetsi. The touch that Bellegarde makes to play Munetsi and break through the lines is outrageously delightful. And he's in. He's onside. It's a 1v1. He gets his head up. And at the end of the day, we have the best 1v1 goalkeeper in the world to save our fucking bacon.
I agree. The commentators on my stream were trying to make out that, because Munetsi is a midfielder by trade, the shot wasn't good enough, but that was just a fantastic save. I genuinely think that he is the best in the world when it comes to those one-on-one coming out and, really challenging the shot like that. I just wish that we didn't need to see it because especially when it resulted in that injury. When you said that he went down, Chris, my heart just plummeted. I can't
repeat what
send that.
I can't repeat what Kev put.
Oh my gosh! I was so angry. I was like, "How dare you send this message to me?" My heart's already nervous.
I must admit, my first thought was, "Where's his shin pad?" It's right in the middle of his shin. I'm like, "Where's his shin pad?"
They don't wear shin pads. I don't understand it. I genuinely fashion statement be damned.
Although I must admit, later on, it did look like he was wearing shin pads, so maybe he put some on.
I know they're this big though. They're literally the size of a note card.
You wouldn't give them to a 5-year-old and they're going out playing on a Saturday morning for the
I get that they make your shins all sweaty and it's not fun to wear them, but I don't know. I'd rather not break a bone.
They're not hockey players either, but at the same time, look after your certain bits and bobs. But Matt, that pass. that pass to find your man going in one-on-one was one of the best passes I've seen
gorgeous
this season by anyone. It was a ridiculous pass, and it split us wide open. And I think it was that pass and that chance is when we started playing with fear. That's the first time this season, that second half, that I saw us playing with fear. You're 2-0 up, you're home, you're comfortable, and we really went into a shell. And we struggled getting out from the back. We couldn't pass through, we couldn't do anything. And I've always said it, if I'm setting up a side to play against Liverpool, how Wolves played in the second half is exactly how you set up to play against us. You absolutely suffocate us in our own half, and you gamble. It might work, it might not. And today it worked for Wolves. They were pressing like lunatics. And I said at half-time when they made the 2 substitutions that they made, I thought, yeah, this is going to be interesting second half because they're going to press like mad. And they're not going to allow us to have soft possession like they did. They allowed us to have soft possession in the first half. We got absolutely none of that in the second half. And they went for broke. That one chance that they had was should have been the wake-up call that we needed to figure out a way of getting out from the back. And for the entirety of that second half, we couldn't. They pressed us, they harried, they harassed. The only thing that they were missing was quality in the final third. And we've got to be much sharper in our passing and our patterns of play. There was parts of the second half where we looked like, but it was later. It was maybe in the last 10 minutes where we looked like we were getting more success in getting at them. But it was the most stressful half of football I've watched from us in a long time. They were really good. You know, give them all the credit in the world, but we did not help ourselves. That was...
We all turned to Darwin Núñez and trying to see who could get offside first. We were quite good at that second half.
I'll tell you what, though, and I noticed at the very start of the game, they held a high line. They tried to condense the pitch, and the ball over the top was on, but nobody was making. You needed a midfielder to make the extra run, and we never did it. We never did it once. The ball over the top for Mo was thereabouts, but I thought Totti handled that really well. I still can't get over calling the centre back Totti. It's just wrong.
It's as wrong as that Munetsi coming on, playing up top and wearing the number 5.
That's I know. Couldn't his mum just pick something else? You know,
Milan Barros.
Yeah, couldn't he just called him Murphy or something? Anything, but it's just weird. But yeah, no, I thought he dealt with that ball over the top from Virgil really well. But yeah, in the second half, we struggled massively. And yeah, that really, really worried me, that second half performance, in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, PW pointing out they did all that, and we still had a close offside goal disallowed and what could have been a penalty, but it was a terrible half. Chris is like, in between the Allison save, Allison going down, we have Mo. I mean, it's a lovely little finish from Mo Salah. Apparently, he's offside. I didn't get to see a replay of it. It looked really close. They showed one still. I didn't see any lines or anything like that.
Yeah, they did.
It was really close from what I saw. Like they
didn't show any lines for us. From the very fleeting replay, I thought he looked just off.
Yeah,
I thought there was a player close to the bench that actually looked like he was playing him on.
Yeah, I mean, look, it didn't hurt us. I mean, it's a shame because it was an absolutely.
It was like a 10-second check. It was kind of I don't know. Every once in
a
while,
it's like semi-offside. It was like semi-offside existed.
Well, that's
semi-automated. Sorry.
Like that. And when you see them doing offside checks, sometimes like it takes like 2 minutes. So it makes me wonder like how on earth they get it so quickly.
Yeah,
it felt like it was an eye.
They took 5 minutes to check. It took 5 minutes to check if Diaz had pushed that fella.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, if it's when they do the still, if it's visual that they can visually see, yeah, he's offside. Because when I first saw it, my first instinct was he's off. So they'll have the still and they'll physically see, yeah, he's ahead. If it's anywhere near tight, like half a body length, then they'll get the lines out and what have you.
You must have gotten a different frame than what I got.
Possibly.
It did not
I was like Kev.
It didn't look like a body at all. Like it looked like really, really close.
Yeah, it just even when the ball was played, I thought, he's just way too ahead. You know,
But then when we talk about the penalty, I mean, live, I thought that was a Stonewall penalty. I think I tweeted, it's a Stonewall penalty all day. And you saw the
first look, it looks
and then you saw, but then you see the first replay, you go, oh, no, that's not a pen. If anything, Jota is very lucky he gets away with not getting booked. Yeah. Because they send the ref to go and look at it, and he can see then there's no contact. So I don't know if it's a rule that they're not allowed to then book him, but it's like, well, you can see the replay. It's definitely not a penalty.
Yeah, that is a striker manufacturing contact, because if there was any contact, it's only from Diogo Jota throwing out his left foot to catch Agbadou as he goes sliding.
I think when he turns Agbadou, he takes it too far, and I think he's hoping Agbadou hits him and doesn't, so he just sticks his leg out and hopes for the best. But
Sadio Mane made a living out of those. Sadio made a living out of buying those pens, especially in the early days of VAR. You know, but now you don't. And look, it's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pen in a million years.
That's far being used correctly.
Yeah, if Jota got booked, he couldn't have a complaint.
No.
And I love the shithousery around it. You're playing against your old club. You're playing against your international teammate. And so is Nelson Semedo. You know, it's like he's got plenty of mates in that Wolves side. And he did not give a shit. He was looking to get every advantage going. And if that meant throwing a leg back and initiating a contact, then so fucking be it. He gave two fucks about it. And he was well happy to take that as well.
Yeah, I see a fair few people being like, why is he going down? He should just score that anyways. I agree with this comment from Hey Vino. Jota should have left it for Lucho anyways, because I think the ball was meant for Diaz, and Jota picks it up and then cuts inside and goes down and tries to win the penalty. But Diaz was right there. If he'd have just dummied the ball on, it would have gone to Diaz. But in the build-up to it, it's excellent play from Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. Gravenberch, a complete rebound. Not a complete rebound, but a good rebound from his performance against Everton, where he was marked out of the game, but he was also shit. I thought Gravenberch today was, out of the three midfielders, the best out of the three. Not a super high bar.
I thought he was fucking awful.
You thought Gravenberch was awful?
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of like, he didn't
especially
stand out.
In the second half, especially.
Well, everybody was shit second half.
No, but he couldn't
throw forward multiple times.
Yeah, but the problem I had with him was their goal.
Oh, what? No. We're getting there.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
It wasn't just that, but the
scalpels out and dissect the shit out of that, because
the other problem I had with him today was hold your position in front of the back four. I don't want you bursting up the pitch when you're 2-0 up. You don't need to. And the other side of it is he didn't manage to control the space in front of the two centre backs because Cunha was having a picnic there. So his primary first job in that 6 role is you're the controller. And you stand there and you block the space. I thought second half, he was atrocious. He was all over the place. His head was spinning. And if it wasn't for the fact that... But that's...
Endo's wasn't.
Endo's wasn't. And the other side of it, McAllister's wasn't. But it's an experience he'll learn from. But at the same time, there are games when you're going to have to shut up shop. And you have to be a 6, a real 6. And today was one of those games. And in the second half, I think that's a massive learning curve for him. Massive learning curve for him.
Yeah, sorry, I was just laughing at PW's comment.
Yes, me too. I've just seen that one. Yeah.
We're not. We're not.
I'd read it if it was a members show, but this is a free show.
No, this is the beauty. If you're listening to this after, if you're in the live comments and you're in the live YouTube, you see it for yourself firsthand.
Yeah, that is the truth, Kev. My first 5 years of listening to the channel, I was purely a podcast listener, and I did not realize how much I was missing until I started getting involved in the chat. So if you do want to become a member, highly, highly recommendable. Get involved in all the chats live, get involved in the Telegram members chat, never miss a show or anything like all that good stuff. And we'll carry on from there. I
love how I teed you up there for that.
Yes, you're brilliant at this, Kev. You're a natural. Ashley, we're going to have to talk about the goal. Just before the goal, Trent plays one of the worst balls I've ever seen. It goes to Cunha, Joao Gomez, who multiple times on my commentary, they called him Joe Gomez, which is like, for fuck's sakes, that's just so bad. Bradley and Darwin come on for Trent and Jota, and then shortly thereafter, it's 2-1, and we're getting the proper rabbit's nosing that was mentioned in the chat earlier. It's a good goal, Ashley. Like, it's an excellent finish by Cunha, and at the same time, because two things can be true at the same time, it's also terrible from Liverpool.
Yeah, it was coming though. Like, that period of time that you're talking about, from like 64 to 66 minutes, there was a Trent pass that was atrocious. There was a Szoboszlai pass shortly thereafter. Then there was a McAllister pass that was equally as bad. So all three of them, it was like they were in a competition for who could give the ball away in the most dangerous position. I think Trent won. But anyways, all of that was happening. We felt like we were really shaky. And then you have Cunha coming in. He does a great dummy. He, like, Gravenberch tries to put in that block, but
does he?
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he tries, quote unquote. Like, I don't think he does a very good job. And this is where I think, you know, the idea of him being our best midfielder kind of falls down, because I do think that it was his responsibility to stick with that runner. That being said, the shot was fantastic. I do think that was down low into the corner. It was hit with power. I think Ali probably couldn't have seen it because he was being blocked basically by Gravenberch and a couple of other players. But it was just one of those things where it was of our own making. We were giving them that momentum, and Cunha just seized on it. And he's a talented player. He does those things. That's what he's known for doing. And yeah, that wasn't what I needed at that point in time, because I was already nervous. And you'd think we're 2-0 up. Everything's gonna be fine. We were not playing like we were 2-0 up. We were playing like we were all over the place. So yeah, overall not great.
No, I mean, Chris, what are your thoughts on the goal?
I mean, I got pelters for it online because I said there's not much you could do about it. To me, give the credit. I'll give the credit to the forward. Could we cut the price to him? Yes, but I think the turn he does on Gravenberch, he sends that Gravenberch for the echo. Listen, if one of our players does that turn and finish, none of us are sat here going, "Oh, well, they could have defended this better." They could have. Sometimes you can just give them credit. And listen, the turn he does is brilliant. And listen, that's some finish because that's in the bottom corner. No keeper saving it. And look, they deserve to get a goal back in because of the pressure they got on there. I actually thought Liverpool then, though, dogged it out. We would prefer not to have dogged it out, but listen, they found a way to dog it out. So that's what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Kev, I'm going to come to you because I'm agreeing with you on this one. Before you guys joined us, when it was just Chris and I before the show started, I was watching back the Cunha goal, and watching Gravenberch try to block that shot is like, holy fuck, that's terrible. I think it's McAllister turns the ball over, gives the ball back to him. And at that point, we were effectively just passing the ball to them, saying, why don't you try to score? And let's make this really nervy inside of Anfield for the last 15, 20 minutes. But
yeah, they pressed the living shit out of us in the second half, and that was the culmination of it. Gravenberch sold himself badly. It was really, really poor. It's schoolboy stuff. You know, and saying it's schoolboy stuff, no, it's not. It's panic. It's like I said earlier on in the second half. It's panic and playing within yourself and playing with fear. It's they know the situation, and Chris made a really good point in the chat before we came on air. For a lot of these players, this is the first title race that they're in. All right, they're not stupid people. They understand the situation that we're in. They understand the fact that we win today, we go back 7 points clear. They also understand the fact if we throw away a lead of any kind in a game and drop 2 points or drop 3 points, and Arsenal still have to come to Anfield, potentially you could only be a point ahead with a couple of games to go. That's how tight this is at the minute. And that's where I think the fear and the hesitancy came from. But yeah, Gravenberch for that was, I think it's coming from a place of almost panic. But saying all that, it was a fantastic goal, fantastic finish. I still think Allison would be pissed right off that he that he was beaten from that far out, irrespective of whether he's seen or not. He'll still feel that he should be able to cover that far side. You know, from that distance, he'll feel that he should have always read it because he knows the player. He's played with him in the Brazilian squad. He knows what the player is capable of, and he knows more than likely where he likes to go. So,
but on the flip side, Cunha also knows Allison, so perhaps he also knows there's a way of doing a shot that Allison doesn't like. So he can also you can flip it both ways. You know what I mean? So I just give it for what it is. It's a really good finish.
I give him credit for the
to beat Allison for that. Nobody says to you, it's a really good finish. Because nothing anyone sitting there going, it's a rick by the keeper. You know,
no, I wouldn't say it's a rick by the keeper. I'd say the keeper is disappointed in the fact that he was beaten from that far out, irrespective of who was taking the shot. He'll be pissed off that he was beaten from that far out. But, you know, credit where it's due. It is a hell of a finish. And you're sat there then, you're 2-1. And it's like your worst fears come through because it's 2-1 on merit. They absolutely deserved that goal. That could have been the leveler if he'd have taken the one-on-one earlier on. So,
yeah.
And you wouldn't have argued with it. That's the worrying thing. It was a wake-up call. And some of the change, and Slot made the changes, rang the changes then.
He made the change that he didn't make against Everton.
Yeah, and he made it early.
And you saw the benefit of Endo. Look, Endo wasn't perfect. You know, he still gave away a few Endo fouls that we're used to. But
that's fine.
But that's what he does.
That very last foul was worth his entire period on the pitch.
When the fella beats Robertson and he just gets himself in the way and just wins the foul. He was there for... Probably what Kev's talking about with what Gravenberch missed today is the amount of times you saw Endo either left back or right back next to the fullback winning the foul, going, right, there you go. You guys also, I'll go back and do my job. You know, he just does what you need him to do. And that is why you keep Endo in the squad. It is for those last 20 minutes.
He's one of our only truly defensive-minded midfielders. Gravenberch is not inherently a defensive-minded midfielder. He's
learning the role,
turned into it. Yeah. And he's doing a spectacular job, but, you know, he's typically an 8. He's being pulled back into the 6. His brain doesn't go, put out fire first. And I think that that's what Endo brings in these moments. And he's obviously not at the same level as Gravenberch, but having someone at the end of the game that does have that firefighting mentality is sometimes what you need. And we definitely needed it in that Everton
100%,
game.
100%.
But there's also an amount of Gravenberch also is 22. So he's still learning that.
Yeah,
you learn from the best DMs learn from experience and learn from situations they've been in before.
He hasn't. He is learning on the job, and I've never seen anyone learn on the job as well as he's doing. He's going to have days off.
Endo at 22. Gravenberch at 22. You look at what Rodri was doing at 22. He wasn't doing what Gravenberch is doing.
No,
he just wasn't. You know, and it took a year for him to blood in at City before we started to see what he was really about.
The joke about Rodri when he first came to City was he didn't know anything was behind him, and that was always the thing, was just put a runner behind him, and Rodri never read it. Exactly. I mean, listen, after 6 months, that one minor flaw went very quickly, and then you were left with the beast that you were left with, which was really annoying. So, you know,
I'm just really looking forward. I mean, I thought he was poor today in the second half. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the player that he's going to develop into over the next 2-3 years, because he's got all of the physical attributes of a Patrick Vieira and the football technical skill you can ever ask for in a central midfielder. Once he gets that defensive nous into his game, that reading, that anticipation, the composure, once he gets that into a game and he can handle pressure, the world's his oyster. He has the potential to become the best defensive midfielder in the world, you know, and I don't think it's going to be even close when that comes around. But it's going to be a journey to get there, and he'll have games like this. So, you know, you can say that in the comfort of knowing that you've got 3 points. If I'd have sat here and we only got a draw and I was saying that, then, you know, it's crying and bitching in the morning. But when you can say it after you've got your win, is I don't have to mask anything, you know, and it's like, yeah, he wasn't great today, but it's there for him in the future, 100%.
7 Chaos Black. You win the chat for today. Grabbing Busquets is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And if he can get to the point where he deserves that incredible nickname that you've come up with, because I'm giving you all the credit, even if you stole it from someone else, it's yours now. If he gets anywhere even close to being deserving of being compared to Sergio Busquets, then we are in with a fucking tidy player, because Sergio Busquets is about as good as it goes.
I mean, just to put today's win into context, I saw TNT tweet yesterday, Arsenal have won now 15 games undefeated in the league, 10 wins, 5 draws. Best run they've had since the Wenger years. That's what they're on. To put with Liverpool's win today, we are now 11 wins, 4 draws in 15 games, and we are undefeated in 21 in the league. And that is getting masked over very, very quickly. So as much as people want to laud Arsenal and keep going on about it, I think people need to forget what we've also got is very, very good. You know, just because it's been a couple of indifferent performances doesn't take away from the fact what this squad is doing. And we're still 7 points clear, and we've got a chance to put pressure on them again on Wednesday. You know, ultimately, Arsenal need us to mess up 3 times to get ahead of us. That's what they are relying on, and they've got to be perfect. You know,
they would have been sickened. They would have been sickened today, because to see us put in a second half performance like that and still come away with 3 points, they'll have that sinking feeling. We know that sinking feeling because Man City used to do it to us. The amount of games that Man City would play in the title run, and you think they're going to somehow mess it up, and they find a way of winning by the odd goal. And everyone looks back at the Pep years and thinks that it was swashbuckling, it was 4, 5, 6-0 every weekend, and what happened.
There were games like today.
There were plenty of games like today.
You just forget them.
Grounded out.
You just forget them because they won the league again. Everyone forgets about them. Or we tell
which
ourselves
that because I've seen fans of other clubs being like, "You never saw Man City when they were at their best playing like this," and it's like, "You did, because like
even the year that we blew everyone away, we played like this occasionally. Like there was one Anfield United game that like we barely got over the line, and they were down.
The keeper dropped it in.
Yeah, it was one of those games where like we were like, how could we possibly perform like this in a glowing, like that season was as close to perfect as you can possibly get, really, until COVID happened. And yet we still had those moments. So there's no, like, it happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, James making the point there, we have too many draws to derail it. Mate, we have 6. We have 6 draws. Arsenal have 8.
Don't let the media narrative
it's like,
because it's starting. They are sowing the seeds of this Arsenal comeback. And it's been happening like ever since the Plymouth loss, they've been trying to make it into this massive wobble for us. Yeah. Don't get sucked in, because if you're on Twitter, if you're on like some of these YouTube channels, you know, if you're listening to Sky Sports, they are going to continuously like ram home this idea that we are suddenly like falling off a cliff. Like, yes, we didn't perform well today. By all accounts, the second half was absolute garbage, and we can do way better. But like, don't start getting into this gloom and doom thing that they want you to get into.
Yeah, it's having a few people, Madge Apple pointing out the media needs a title race. Anthony Boylan saying we're in crisis because we lost to Plymouth and PSV. I'll remind you, Anthony Boylan, that you were posting that we only had a 54% winning percentage in our last 10 or 11 games, whatever it was. But that was including these 2 games that you're now saying were actually kind of meaningless. Gavin Walsh, so Narrative FC won't win this Premier League, and when they don't, Liverpool will still get no credit. It will be because other teams had reasons why they lost, not why we won. Well, that's what we're here for, because if and when we get that Premier League title, we are going to be having so much fun crowing about how fucking good we are, and there will be nothing that anybody can do to stop us. We just need to make sure we get it across the line. And yes, Scouser Pete, we will need a new and improved Advent media narrative calendar. I'll get the missus on making one of those.
I think we should do that Easter egg one. I think
Easter egg hunt.
But yes, that's I'm running around in my basement looking for media narratives.
That could be brilliant. So
all right, we got some post-match quotes here, courtesy of Ashley. Virgil van Dijk.
There's a lot of them, guys. So
at times we were
He's making up for the fact he couldn't do one against Everton.
As well as we can at times. Virgil says, we'd love to dominate for the full 90 minutes, but this is the Premier League and Wolves can punish you and create dangerous moments against you. It says a lot. We kept fighting and got the 3 points. Andy Robertson, also talking to the media after the match, says, we have to be better on the ball. The result is big. After Wednesday and the defeat in the FA Cup, it's important to get back to a winning streak. Hopefully this can be the start of one. Robbo continues, when they scored, everyone gets nervous. The crowd gets nervous, but it's a massive win for us. Wolves were excellent second half. They made a couple of changes at halftime at 2-0 down and went a little more attacking with more forward players up in key areas. They made it more difficult. Second half was a slog. Maybe playing Wednesday took it out of a few of the lads, but it was about trying to use the experience on the pitch and everything we've got. We just managed to dig deep, 2-0 at halftime. That can be one of the most dangerous results in football. We had to come out and start well and didn't quite do that. I mean, Robbo says that, but I think we're, like 150 games where we've been leading at halftime at Anfield without losing, so it's not really.
I mean, Robbo had to tell the home crowd to calm down a bit when he did it, when he passed the ball back to Allison. I think everyone's getting a bit retchy.
Arnie, who is now available to do media duties, not having seen a red card on the Jota penalty, calls it a correct decision. And Vitor Pereira, the Wolves manager, says second half everything changed because the mentality clicked. When you go out there and play with no fear, confidence, and personality and try to compete for the result, this team has quality. In my opinion, we had too much respect for Liverpool in the first half. This is something we must prevent in the next game. We must be proactive and press them. I didn't like the first half. Arne Slot with more says, it was mentally difficult second half because we thought we scored the third. Then we thought we got a penalty. Both situations were correctly handled by the referee. Slot continues, if you want to achieve something, it is not only about bringing the ball up from the back or Mo scoring goals. It is also about defending. If you look at the last few seasons, it has mostly been a battle between two teams, he continues. And I think at the start of that, we were 7 points clear of them, and we still are now. So it tells you how well they're doing, but also how well we are doing, which is what you were saying, Chris, about how our results might seem a little wobbly, but we've been matching
the best of Arsenal's.
Yeah. Arne says, as things stand now, it looks mostly like between us and Arsenal. I believe they have a 15-game unbeaten run. In a season like this, we have played so many great games, but in a season you want to win something, you have to win the difficult ones as well. Boy, he's got a lot to say when he doesn't get to talk after Everton. He's
making up for lost time.
Slot says, when you're not playing your best, we were so close on Wednesday. This time we did survive. It's never the game plan to never create anything at all. We did have a goal offside and a penalty overturned. We were by far a goal threat in the second half. Wolves took a lot of risks. I don't think we were a goal threat in the second half. The team felt today to bring this win over the line. Defending was more important than attacking. If this is what it takes to win a game, then I'm happy the players could do that again. Fatigue comes from running a lot and a bit of mental fatigue. We were mentally tested. We thought we'd scored a third and blah, blah, blah. I've said that one already. Maybe it did lead to us being a bit tired. I did see for the first time this season that players were more tired than they have been. It wasn't the plan that Cody Gakpo got injured because Diaz played against Plymouth. He showed great character by being really important with the 2 goals and his work rate. You can never breathe in this competition. I saw Arsenal's 15-game unbeaten run, and the gap has always been the same, so that shows that we do. If you want to compete for something special, then you have to win a lot of games in this league. Talking about Jarrell Kwanzaa, he says, all the boys showed great character second half. Recently I've seen Jarrell back to his old level in training and in games. You can see how important he is. Gakpo for Wednesday, under debate. It's coming up fast. He took a knock versus Everton. And he says he took Konate off because he could have been sent off. His first yellow was soft, and his second would have been soft. I knew the player would be under pressure, and the ref. Wolves play strong football, so I had to take him off. And finally, you saw after 2-1 that maybe the first time this season after conceding late at Everton, it was in our heads a little bit. And Kev, that last one is a good one to end on because that's how I was feeling. Because it was like, for fuck's sakes, not again. I literally, I wasn't sitting back in the couch anymore. I was sitting forward and I'm going to be fucking sick if we throw these points away. And that's something we need to get out of our.
Yeah, there's a lot of PTSD around Liverpool over the years. Not so much under the latter half of the Klopp years, but there were times under Klopp and before that, especially under Brendan Rodgers, where we would find ways of losing or drawing games late on. And it's a hard one to get out of your system. And today, I think that's the most important bit, is the fact that we got it over the line under real pressure. they were throwing the kitchen sink at it, and we managed to get it over the line. And look, two things that stood out in the second half: Jarrell Kwanzaa's tackle in the 6-yard box was brilliant. It was a really good challenge, really important read for him. But the way Endo read that run right at the very end, sensed the danger, sensed that so he might cut inside Robertson, and he was there to sniff it out, took the foul, and got us up the pitch. Little things like that. It's just that's what you need. Bit of nous, bit of clever play, and get it over the line and move on to Villa. Villa will be, I think Villa's a different test because when you're playing against Wolves and you're 2-0 up now, you're expected to see this out, yeah? You know, you're expected to have it comfortable. Villa will know the threats that are there as well, and we'll probably have a little bit more respect for their threats because of the quality that they have and the fact that they're in Europe. And I think we'll be a lot more energetic going into it. And hopefully for Trent is a classic example. So that defensively Trent was fine. Passing was like he almost, it was almost like he hadn't played a game of football in a while. His radar was off. So hopefully today will help sharpen him up a bit as well.
I mean, in fairness, he hasn't played in a while. This was his first, 60 minutes in quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Kieran mentions there that Villa are missing their centre backs. Yeah, they've got things at the back that you can get at, but going forward, Aston Villa have threats everywhere. And Morgan Rogers, I think, is one of the most informed players in the league at the minute. Ollie Watkins is a top striker. Tielemans is reborn, is having a great season. It's it's a different type of test. They'll have threats going forward, but every side has threats going forward. There isn't a side in this league that doesn't have a player in there going forward, especially that you look at and you go, yeah, he's decent. On his day he can be very, very good. Wolves, no exception to that.
And they've got a Marcus Rashford who can, by the looks of it, be arsed.
Yeah,
which might make a difference for them. So
if you're a gambling person, put money on Marcus Rashford to score against us. I'm not saying that they're going to beat us because of a Marcus Rashford goal, but the second he signed for them was like, we play, he's going to score against us. Like,
yeah, there's certain players that just also have.
That's if he can get on the pitch. He doesn't start.
No, he doesn't start, but he can come on. And I mean, when he came on in their game the other day, he looked good, and so did Marco Asensio. But I mean, the biggest thing is a matter of flipping because here's a positive, and then I'll go to a negative stat from Ashley. Most goals scored at a single stadium in Premier League history: 116 for Thierry Henry at Highbury, 106 for Sergio Aguero at the Etihad, 101 for Mo Salah at Anfield, which pulls him level with Wayne Rooney at Old Trafford. So there's another record for Mo to break. But here's the bad one. Liverpool didn't attempt a single shot in the second half against Wolves today. The first time on record for over 20 years that the Reds have failed to register a shot in a single half of Premier League football at Anfield. And that, Ashley, by any metric, can never, ever be fucking allowed to happen ever again.
No, I thought it was interesting that Slot kind of did like a little sly, like, oh, well, the team decided defending was more important than attacking. Yeah, it was poor. I mean, granted, we did have the penalty and the offside goal, which, by the way, the pass for the offside goal from Trent was like one of the best passes I've ever seen. So to have that not come off as an assist, I think we'd be talking a little bit differently about Trent's passing if that had come off, but it didn't. It was not great. I don't want to see that stat pop up ever again, especially at Anfield. I really, really we need to capitalize on our home field advantages because we don't have that many left. If we win out our home games, we basically have one handle on that trophy. So we need it.
Just like curious for chat, and obviously I'll ask you guys as well, is what points total are you thinking you need to hit? Because most Arsenal can get most Arsenal get is 92. So what do you expect Arsenal to get?
I have no idea. Don't care. And that's the truth. I never looked. I can't look that far ahead because I don't know. I'd be amazed if anyone gets 90 points. The way this season is going,
I'd say 88 would be my prediction.
So if you said 88, ballpark, I've got a spreadsheet because I'm sad I've got a spreadsheet.
You have a spreadsheet? Oh shit! You're just like that guy off AFTV.
Yeah, but basically, Arsenal could only drop 4 points to get 88 points. That's the world Arsenal are in.
Yeah.
You know, Liverpool have a much more of a leeway. That's what the 7-point gap gives them.
The thing is, look,
I know it's not more than Arsenal, but what do you think is realistic? You know, how many points do you think is realistic? You can afford to drop.
I think you got to look at Arsenal in a different light because of the injuries they have and the position on the pitch where they have them. They're out of the FA Cup, which is a bonus. They're not. They don't have to worry about the League Cup. So they have to work with the Champions League and chasing us. They still have to manage those forwards to navigate through as much as possible. The draw for the Champions League will be interesting to see what happens. If they get, a decent draw and they start going further into the Champions League, the more games they have to play with that core group of players, it's going to start taking its toll. We saw it with us when we got injuries in one part of the pitch a few years ago. It's not so much the games that you're missing all these players for. It's the extra games that the others are having to play.
It ripples through the team.
Exactly. That causes problems down, and it can happen at any time. As we've seen it with Manchester United this week. I think they lost 3 players in training.
Yeah. Well, there's a few people in the chat that are, they're talking about our fitness and not being able to compete for 90 minutes. Look at some of the other teams in this league right now, and look at the teams that they're putting out. Look at the bench that Man United put out. They have 1 senior player, and I'm not trying to compare ourselves to them, but if I would much rather be in our position. I think every single team in the league would rather be in our position. Our fitness is actually pretty outstanding for this point in the season.
I think listen, no one's saying Liverpool played well there because they didn't. Second half especially. But I think there is an element of over-egging how well the teams below us are doing.
And Arsenal were shite yesterday. Arsenal was shite yesterday.
No one wants to talk about that Arsenal was shite yesterday, because if we'd have won it 2-1, as in we played that way first half, went 1-0 down, and then won it second half, do you know what? I bet it'd be different there. I'd be like, that's brilliant play. That's what champions do.
Yeah.
They've turned up second half and did it. Liverpool just won it first half instead. Ultimately, as long as you get the win, that's the main thing. Do you want to play that second half regularly? Not really.
No.
So
not regularly. I never want to see that ever again.
I don't want to see it ever again.
No,
but here's the thing.
But too many talking like most of our results recently have been that way, and they haven't really. Let's not.
It's recency bias because we've
get with the backwater a little
chunk
bit.
of these games that haven't been perfect, but it's been chunks of games that we've been rotating players. We've been playing academy guys. We've rested our entire senior team for one of those games. One of them was an absolute dead rubber in the Champions League. Looking at them side by side, they look shit as results, but there's so many extenuating circumstances there. So don't let the recency bias throw you down into
one thing, right? On Wolves, the last time we beat them in a game that was, you could say, was really relatively comfortable, right, was December 2020. We won 4-0. The vast majority of our games against Wolves, we had a 2-2 draw thrown in the FA Cup, and we had 1-3-0 thrown in. But in general, it's been the odd goal or maybe a 2-goal win, but it's generally been a late goal. Our games, we have a good record against them, but they're almost always close games, and we usually get an extra goal late on in games. They're a difficult side to play, and they're a good side. I know where they are in the league, but there is quality in that side, especially going forward. And when they don't care, they played the second half with high risk, and you saw that some of the players that are in that side. If we went shopping at Wolves in the summer, there would be a fair few people quite pleased with what you can buy in that out of that squad. So, you get the points and you move on. But we need to see. I'd love to see a performance against Villa. And
do you have the historic results against Wolves up there? Because I was talking with my missus during this game and was like, The last time we played Wolves at home, I was in that stadium, and I don't remember what the final score was. I know
2-0.
we won 2-0. Was it 2-0?
2-0.
2-0. They had a player.
McAllister scored, and who else?
Konate, I think.
Fuck, I wouldn't have got that if you gave me 12 guesses. I wouldn't have got that if you gave me 12
Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't. It was Gerald Kwanzaa. Gerald Kwanzaa scored. And they had Nelson Semedo was sent off in the first half.
I thought it was Sarabia that got sent off. I knew they had a red card because every game I've been to, there's been a straight red card, and I knew we won 2-0, but fuck, I don't remember anything about that because it was almost like the day was about something else the last time we played.
Yeah, Nelson Semedo's was booked, and it was upgraded to a red card. And McAllister scored, and Gerald Kwanzaa scored, and it was last game of the season, and it was literally everyone was on the beach. But in general, like
I was crying my fucking eyes out, Kev. I wasn't on a beach.
Where was I?
I was on a beach and crying.
I was in the pub watching it. I was back in the pub watching it because we couldn't get in.
I
couldn't get in.
I was away on vacation, and I was with a whole bunch of people, and they were like, "Why? He's so sad," and nobody undered.
No, nobody
couldn't get into the ground. I think if anyone who got into the ground that day was, that was a day you wanted to be. That was a privileged day to be in the ground for sure.
Yes, it absolutely was. Privilege is the perfect way to describe how I feel about being there for Jurgen Klopp's final game. But before we go down a big, long nostalgia cul-de-sac, let's get through our nominees for Player of the Game, Honorable Mention, and Should Do Better before we get out of here so we can watch the second half of what should be a thoroughly boring Spurs-Man United game. I went early, Ashley. I think Gerald Kwanzaa was man of the match. Who do you like for the three nominees?
I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and give it to Diaz. I think having him step up, like he's had no goal involvements, like we said, since December. We needed another forward to step up beyond just Cody Gakpo and Mo Salah. To have him contributing, that's something that we need to see more of. We need to see more from him. We need to see more from our center forwards. I think honorable mention goes to Mo for kind of the same reasons that we always give it to Mo, because he's putting points on the board and he does Mo Salah things. Could do better. I think there's a few players that you could give it to. I think we talked about the midfield in depth. I'm going to focus on our number 9. I think I'm going to give it to just number 9 as a whole. I think between Jota and Nunes, someone needs to stamp their authority on that position. Someone needs to start scoring from that position. I just think it's something that could come back to bite us as this goes on. I genuinely think that, we need to find a way to get them into goal scoring form.
Yeah. Chris, who do you like? Ashley's taking a complete number for must do better.
I know. So talk about casting it all aside. I'll put Nick yours. Kwanzaa's probably a good shout actually, because he was really good second half. So probably Kwanzaa. Honorable mention Endo. I thought he helped see the game out, and could do better. Probably Szoboszlai. I don't actually remember him in the game at all. Which I don't have to. I don't. Maybe look. Somebody will probably tell me tactically he's doing something fantastically, but generally in that game, I don't remember him defensively or attackingly making any sort of real impact in the game.
Yeah, so, he had one shot where we broke and we had kind of numbers, and he took a long shot and it just went just wide of the right hand post. But other than that, he wasn't really dominant.
Yeah, so I'll go with that.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that was on 26 minutes. See, I found it. I got my notes down there. Kev, who are your three?
Yeah, I agree. I think Ashley's nailed it with Luis Diaz, man of the match, and Mo Salah, as the honourable mention. I have to say Gravenberch. Look, you'll come on better for that. You'll come on better for today. I could throw in Allison for that one-on-one save. That one-on-one save from Allison is pivotal. There's a couple of things that I'd say he could have done better with. There was a cross that came in that he went and punched, and he was asking for a foul.
Yeah.
I would look.
That ended up with Cunha with the free kick right on the edge of our box. That was very dangerous.
Yeah. Normally when he's at his absolute peak, he's coming in, he's calming the situation by taking that ball in the air. But yeah, no, I just think Gravenberch today overall needs to sit down with an analyst and have a look at the good stuff that he does and the bad stuff from today, and just work on that. He'll be fine. No problem with him going forward. But Diaz, I thought, in fairness, the goal, it didn't matter how it went in. Overall, his work rate was good. He was threatening. He looked a threat all the time. So yeah, I thought he was our man of the match. But again, you're talking really about a first half performance. Second half. Whoa.
Do you think, out of curiosity, that moving Diaz back into this wide role? I know we have Gakpo, who's finding this vein of form, but Diaz to me looked far more effective in that role that he's familiar with today.
Yeah, I go back to what you were saying about the number 9. I think the number 9 in this system, the way he's playing, is different. It's not a traditional striker number 9. I actually think, look at what Cunha does for Wolves today. Dropping into space and making space for others is very similar to what this is. The way we play tends to lend itself to. We don't look like we're finding our strikers with any kind of service at all, irrespective of who's playing up there. But you look at the goals that Diaz scores, it's almost like goals he's making for himself or crosses coming from wide, and we just don't tend to be putting enough crosses into the box for strikers to be able to get their head on them. Jota had one from a corner today and it just skied over the top. But I can't remember Jota being through or being fed anything today, even half chances. And strikers are only as good as the service they get. If they don't get service, they're passengers.
I'd quite like to go back to what we had at the start of the season, which is left wing is Diaz or Gakpo, fight it out. Jota or Nunez in the middle, fight it out. And then it's Salah, and then if you can ever rest, Chiesa.
But that's down to fitness, isn't it? I mean, we've had to manage through because of fitness with
assuming we get them all back. Assume when we are not so sure we've got most of them. Just go back to that for a little bit.
Yeah,
true.
It's the issue is that I think our 3 best attackers, 2 of them are left wingers. So I don't know if you just start with 2 left wingers and just leave the center of the pitch wide open, or you just find another Bobby Firmino. It's got to be easy, right? Just go find another Bobby Firmino. But the flip side of that is, I was just thinking when Ashley was talking about our number 9 needs to do better is, can you imagine if you're a striker that's like playing at a club that you're looking for a move to a bigger club? You have to be looking at these Liverpool games and being like, talking to your agent, being like, get on the fucking phone and tell, like, there's a shirt to be won. Like, there's a job. It's hard to get into the Liverpool starting 11 because we've got quite a good team.
Let alone the front line of the Liverpool starting 11.
Exactly. But there is a screaming need for somebody to take that fucking shirt. And I was desperate for it to be Darwin. And we were desperate for it to be Jota. And somebody put the shirt on his back and it broke his fucking collarbone. It's just none of the guys we have do it. Diaz looked fleeting glimpses like he was going to be able to do it, but it's not. He's a left winger, and that's just the way that it is. So hopefully that there's somebody out there, but that's for another day. I'm going to finish on this one. First off, I give my man of the match to Jarrell Kwanzaa. Agreed that I will give my honorable mention to Endo, which is going against all the rules because those are both substitutes. And in terms of the needs to do better, it's got to be Trent, because he was good defensively, and that's great. But the passing was just so bad today. But I'm going to finish with some positivity from the old man of the group, Avil III, saying too many off performances today. It won't be like that on Wednesday. Keep the faith, Reds. We're winning number 20. Up the fucking Reds. I don't need to abbreviate because this is the Talkin Kop and we do not self-censor here. And I will never self-censor by saying that we also have our charity partners, which is fans supporting food banks in Liverpool and the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. You will always find the GoFundMe link to these 2 wonderful charities that we're raising money for in the show descriptions, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever it is. Also pinned all the social media for the Talkin Kop. Thank you very much to Ashley. Thank you very much to Chris. Thank you very much to Kev. If you're in here watching, please hit that thumbs up button for us. And we will catch you guys all after the next one. There'll be a Sunday night show coming up as well, too. Now let's go. I'll go watch the second half of what should be a terrible game. Liverpool, top of the league, 7 points. Bye-bye.